Hello, lovely viewers. Welcome to the Daily Trend Show on New World TV Info English. On this show, we talk about everything entertaining, exciting, informative, educative, and of course, controversial. Today, we'll be talking about something society less touches: sex. Yes, you heard me right, sex. But we'll be looking at it in terms of gender and sexuality. With me to do this discussion, I have and
Pascal Kofi Ajesu.
All right, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this short break.
You are welcome back in this segment. Now, this segment we are coming to discuss gender. In our society, people now construct what is the difference between gender and sex. Gender and sex are used interchangeably, but in this particular segment, we are going to delve deep into these notions so that we will get the understanding. Now, when we talk of gender and sex, what comes to mind? Well, based on my understanding, sex. Let me talk of sex first. Sex is the biological makeup of an individual. Actually, its root is from the pairs of chromosomes. When you are a male, you are seen your chromosome pairs are XY. If you are a female, chromosome pairs are XX. So that's if you are a male, you have the penis, and female, you have the vagina. So these are the two basic things that we use to identify the sexes. So
I remember when I said in the beginning we'll be talking about sex. I'm sure a lot of people had this, hey, what's going on? Yes, that's how society sometimes interchangeably uses gender and sex. But of course, like we've established, gender tells us that they are the roles, okay, that society assigns to people, whether you are a male or female. But then sex is to tell us the biological characteristics. So if, like Enoch said, if you came with a penis, you're a male, and then if you came with a vagina, you are a female. That is your sex. But then with gender, society defines roles for you as a male or as a female.
So in this case, are we supposed to be blaming the society for creating this notion, you're a female or you're a male? Are we supposed to be blaming the society for that? Because I believe when it comes to sex, we are talking about I don't want to talk about the physics, but your sexual organ that determines the type of sex you are, either you're a male or female. And in our era, we are still having more and more. So right now, we are not having just male and female. But when you pick up application forms, most times you see male and female written on it. Yeah. So with this one, and we have people who are intersex. So we don't have any form for them to fill. So we search people when they have a form or something, there is an application they are supposed to do. Which gender do you think they are going to
ascribe?
Yes, because when we talk of gender, it's some kind of
just the male and
the
female.
society tagging you to be, because some people really don't believe
we just have males and females.
We just have male or female. Some people have features of male, but in some way they behave like females. So they intend to believe that they are females or they attack females. So we search people, how do we go about them?
Well, like we said earlier, okay, the way society sees a male or the way society sees a female is how they would attribute or how they would identify them as. And so we know that generally now, okay, if anybody is to wear high heels, it is females. But in times past, in the very early times when high heels were made, it was males who were wearing them. And then gradually, females started wear them. So now we ascribe high heels to females. And so if a guy is wearing high heels, it's considered weird in a way. So there are some things we can't really change because it has come to stay.
So are you saying I can start wearing high heels?
Now it will be weird, but in the olden times, yes, it was males, okay, male hunters from the upper class. They used to wear heels, they used to wear high heels. And then ladies gradually started wearing it, and then it became a feminine thing, no longer for masculines.
Then we have to be blaming society for some of these things, because when we see somebody behaving like a bit feminist, we start to tag the person, even with the notion that the person is already either a gay. So before, we don't have the word gay like that being a tag, but they used to hide, but we have this homosexual so that it will make a bit more. But now, you see, as time goes on, we have to be changing some of the things. And
talking about the dressing, Ruth is talking about.
Yeah.
It's a social convention.
Yeah.
Society has come out with it that if, for example, a man wears, if
somebody
somebody wears shoe,
okay,
like the suit and then the trousers and those political shoes, that person is described as a male. If somebody also wears the skirts and something like that, the person also seen as a female. So the dressing and also even some kind of work. For example, males are people who are considered to be in the construction sites. For example, males, because they are more muscular, they are seen, if somebody is involved in such activity,
so that is the social identity. But,
yes, but
in this one, I agree with the society. I agree with society because it will be very weird to see a man walking on the street and then wearing skirts and high heels and
so now it will be weird because we identify them as feminine things, okay? But like you said earlier, now there are people who are neither male nor female, intersex. So where do we place them? As in filling forms, now we know that there's a third box. So there's a male, there's a female, and then there's a third box. So you take whichever one that belongs to you, right?
We're talking about that one.
With that one, I think they still have to pick a part. Is that they should be a male or female? Because I don't. Okay, that's
but
to me.
They are not male. They are not female.
So how do they apply for? And we can't relegate them to the background. We still need to work with some of them. And then everything that you do right now, you need to fill some forms.
Put everybody into consideration, exactly.
So it means that one.
And with that one too, you need some privacy. You need to use the washroom. Which of the washroom are you going to enter?
Well, that is the issue, okay, that faces these people that would term transgender, intersex. They knowing that I came as a male, but I want to be identified as a female, or I feel like I want to be a female. And so some people go to the extent of having surgeries to change their form, okay, to change their physique, having hormonal reassignment so that they can feel okay in the other side or in the opposite sex where they want to be. But like you said, the problem poses when you need to use a washroom. Which one do you enter, the male or the female washroom?
That one, I don't think there will be much problem with that, because if you change your gender, your sex organ, if you change your sex organ, you need to change your form to
suit the other
what you want.
The other things,
yes, because you can't have male features and then you enter into a ladies' washroom. That is never going to happen.
Some people choose to just change the fact that maybe he came as a male, but he wants to be identified as female, or he feels better. He thinks he feels better as a female. And so he just... If
you feel better as a female, you should try to do what females do or be like females. Not like you don't have to be lukewarm.
That is when society will look at you with some kind of eyes and then would say right he's now, acting too
the way
careless.
That we are right now, everybody is egoistic. Okay? If you think of society, how they feel, though you are living in a society, we still have people around you who are like you. So we are thinking of your happiness right now. It's your happiness that matters. If the society is happy that you are not a male or a female, but with you, you know that you being a male, you are not happy with it.
You go ahead and...
Yes, you have to go ahead and do whatever you feel like doing. If you are happy. And those who are going to accept you must accept you. And those who are going to reject you will surely... And you can't have everybody
accepting
you for who you are.
Sure.
That
will be
bridge is always there. Yeah.
Now, talking about the failing forms issue.
Yeah.
But people actually, when it comes to the topic of sex, sex has actually two meanings: either the act or the category. So, there's this thing that somebody was filling a form and get into the section of sex. It was like, so then contemplating which one. So the person wrote like 7. So it means for him the sex there means the number of times and not actually his category it belongs to. You see that? So but this sex we are talking about here is your category, your biological category, your genetic makeup. Either you are male or female. Now for gender is a social construction. Society expects us to behave in a particular way. That is proper to it. No, we members of the society has this notion that we have the binary notion, either you are male or female. But there are people, as you are saying, who think that I am not satisfied with this particular gender I am born male, but being male, I don't feel comfortable.
They want to be in between.
They want to be the opposite sex. And that is where the transgender issue come in. Because they want to be identified in the particular gender.
So what are some of the causes that are pushing people to either change their gender or
not want to be
what they want to be?
I think it would start with the fact that some people are plainly curious. Okay, I see this is how a lady is, that and that and that. But then from the early ages, if they are not okay in themselves, they are not confident, they don't feel okay being male, then why don't I find out what would happen if I did this? And of course, some of these people have the financial capacity to do it. And so they go on ahead. We've heard of many people who have changed their genders, who have changed their sexes. And they go ahead and then have these surgeries, they go ahead and have these operations, and then they successfully are able to change their sex. But then you would wonder, you were not made like that. Let's, for example, I'm a female, and then I want to become a male. I was born a female, so everything inside me is female or is feminine. Now, if I'm changing to become a male, are things still going to be the same for me inside? If I'm changing to become a male, does it mean everything that males experience, psychologically, emotionally, physically, whichever sense, we are also going to experience that?
We are yet to know that. We're going to invite one of them, and then we'll see.
I think we should.
We have to.
But talking about this, because gender issue, the intersex, this thing. Because people are born actually not in, for example, the people with the Klinefelter syndrome and the Down syndrome, they don't fall in the range of either the normal XY, XX chromosomes. Either they have XXY, which is the Klinefelter syndrome, or the XXX, or something like that. So somebody might be born male, but have more characteristics of the female
than
female sex person. So the person will feel like, though I am male, but I want to be a female. So I will do everything that will make me suit in the opposite sex. And that actually can also cause the person to go in for this transgender, change his gender, identify himself with the opposite gender. So the discussion has been very interesting. Let us go for a short break and we shall be right back. Just stay touched.
welcome back from the break. We are talking about gender and sexuality. Gender and sexuality. This segment we are going to discuss sexuality.
Right, so looking at sexuality, as already discussed, gender. Now, sexuality comes to me as a person's sexual feelings, their sexual attractions, their sexual thoughts towards other people in the society. Okay, and so that introduces us. You mentioned earlier, Pascal, that some people feel attracted to the same sex, and so we have the gays, we have the lesbians. Now we have terminologies, now we have names, or we have ways of calling them, right? So sexuality briefly encompasses all of that. So whatever or whoever you feel attracted to, regardless of your sex, regardless of your biological makeup.
Yeah, so for me, sexuality is just the sexual behavior of an individual. His sexual attractions, his sexual actions, his desire, his sexual, everything that is deemed sexual is what we.
Our sexual orientations, what we are attracted to, what arouses our feelings.
Exactly.
More often, who we want to be with.
Yeah.
Is also part of the sexuality. But sometimes we go extra mile to do things that some people might believe we are not all that okay because of this
society, the way they see things. Yeah.
Over the years, we have been talking about homosexuals and then the lesbians and the gay. But right now, we don't want to use the word homosexuals because it's becoming a harsh word.
Yeah.
Excuse me to say, it's becoming a harsh word. So, now we are trying to accept the word gay
and
lesbian instead of using the homosexuality and all those stuff. What do you guys make of all this?
Talking about even you're talking about heterosexual, homosexuals. Heterosexual actually talk about people who are attracted to the opposite sex.
Yeah.
For example, if as a guy I am attracted to a female, that makes me heterosexual. And somebody who is for the homosexual, that talks about somebody, an individual who is attracted to the same sex.
Yeah.
For example, a female being attracted to another female. Or a male being attracted to another male.
Society see this as abnormal. They see this abnormal, but
so talking about the homosexuals, there we going deep into it. We have the gay and the lesbianism.
Yeah.
So the lesbianism.
We still have bisexuals though. We still have bisexuals. They are attracted to the same sex and then the opposite sex.
Yeah.
But I have a question to ask. I've been wondering, why is it that people can't stay to just one side? Either you're a gay or
I think earlier we said
or
that
you're a lesbian. Why should you be bisexual?
Your sexuality is your sexual feelings, okay, your sexual thoughts or attractions towards another person or towards something else. And so if for me as a female, I feel attracted to another female, that is my sexuality. That is what I am attracted to. That is who I am attracted to.
Out of curiosity or?
Certainly not. You don't control your attractions. The way if someone who's straight or a heterosexual, a male is attracted to a female, in the same way, some people naturally come and they are not attracted to the opposite sex, but rather to the same sex, or even to both sexes, as in the case of bisexuals.
So can we say that psychology is having a part to play in sexuality?
Maybe, but definitely it will be from inside.
Sexuality is your feelings, your attractions. It doesn't actually necessarily have to do with your psychological makeup. It is.
But what will push a man to do things that we used to say are normal and natural?
Actually, society has it that male has to be attracted to the female. The heterosexual thing is what is being supported.
That used to be the norm.
But individual has come to realize that no, I am attracted to my same sex. Why should I not do it? And that is what has brought in the idea of
but I
gay
think
and
they
lesbianism.
equally have a say, because if we if a heterosexual, a male attracted to a female is boldly accepted and can come out outright and say that I'm a male, I'm attracted to female, and it's the norm, something we have accepted. But these people, a male who is attracted to a male also wants to come out because that is their attraction. I think
some part of the world are yet to accept
this notion
of gay and lesbianism, because to them it sounds a bit abnormal.
And
they don't see the reason why some people should have feeling for the same sex or do things opposite
what is known
to be normal.
It's still all boiling down to how society see these. We know the binary male female is normal. Okay, we see a man and a woman working is normal, but then a man and a man working, a man and a man talking maybe in the dark or something, and then we begin to have this weird thinking about them and all that.
So I've been wondering, like, assuming you are living in a society that is purely heterosexual, and you are there, you are attracted to the opposite sex, like to your same sex. So how are you going to cope in such an environment?
I think if it's hard for these people, okay, first of all, to even come out to say that I am a male and I'm attracted to a male, because they live in a society where that is not accepted. So it's first of all hard or difficult for them to come out. But even if they do,
because of the stigmatization.
Yes, because of that. But I'm sure there are still people who are just like them. And so that is how gradually this gayism and lesbianism comes up. And so they find somebody who is also like them, who has the same attraction as them. And so they meet up with them, and then they start their own thing. And one other person, okay, so now they begin to form their cliques and they begin to form their groups and identify with each other. And the more they get, the stronger they become. And now we know they are fighting for their rights. Now we know that they also want a voice to be accepted in society. To also be
the fight they are fighting right now is not about they being gay or lesbian. The fight they are fighting right now is all about their human rights.
Yeah.
Or for society to also
accept them
exactly.
who they are and for what they are.
Okay.
That's the fight they are fighting right now. But it's not totally about their sexuality or something. Because they want society to embrace them as they are. They are gay and you are not a gay. That shouldn't be a matter. Just be who you are. Don't attack us. Because they if you see the brutality on these people, you realize that they are supposed to fight for their human rights, okay? Especially when you come to our part of the world.
In Africa.
So when you come to our part of the world, it's not that we are advocating for gay or we are against them, but like,
just
they are right. Their rights should be
want to demand their rights also,
because the brutality sometimes is very harsh.
But in our African context, we don't need such a thing because it looks abnormal. It has not existed before, and if there's an individual who wants to do it, for example, once in class, a teacher or somebody gave a confession of that sort, that he was in the office. And the teacher is a male, and the student came to the office. I was like chatting with the teacher. I was like, oh, normal chats. But that visit persisted. So, but this student has this attraction for the teacher. So later on, the teacher was like, oh, what are you doing? Why is your teacher? And the teacher was like, oh, I'm doing this. The following day, this student went to the teacher's office again and continued that same thing. Then it was later on that this teacher tried to do an investigation about this student. And he realized that this student is actually a homosexual. Got colleague students after inquiring
these days
from the students.
when you see a gentleman walking somewhere, you start to brand the person as gay without even investigating if the person is really a gay or not.
Now this teacher has done research, has asked college students, and realized that this student will go into a room of the college. Oh, you are handsome, you are looking nice, and just open your room and come. Oh, you look handsome, you look this.
Yeah.
And when they told this teacher, anytime the teacher sees this student, he starts running because he does not support the idea of homosexuality, but the student too is somebody who is into it. He is attracted to the opposite sex.
But I believe in as much as these norms are not indigenous to Africa, or these things are not something that we have always known, we should still make room for them as long as they are human beings. That is where we draw the line, okay? If I am human and I demand certain things, I demand, we all have the right to life, okay? So as you would...
some of these, our sexual arouses and behaviors, we have religion playing a major role in this, our sexual lives, okay? Mm-hmm. When let me not mention any religion, but sure, in both and others, when you are seen with a male anywhere, they see that not to conform to what the scripture or is saying. You understand? So when people see people of that sort, they begin to, question what is happening.
This idea of homosexuality or this gay lesbian being accepted, I don't like that idea, because if everybody they turns out to be attracted to the same sex, then society reprocreation happens. We need to reprocreate, and if you are there, you do not reprocreate, and you are married, you are attracted to the opposite sex, then it means at the end there wouldn't be anybody. The society will die.
Fortunately, it's not everybody. It's not every male in society that is attracted to a male, and it's not every female in society that is attracted to a female. We are just saying that in as much as you need your space, okay, in as much as I need my space, you are okay with the way you are, you feel the way you are given all that freedom, right? Let these people who identify as other sexes other than the binary, okay, let these whether it's gayism, whether it's still the male attraction, or lesbianism, the female attraction, or bisexual, let them also have their space, right? Just as every other sex, just as heterosexuals also have their space to deal with. Because I believe they feel unsupported, they feel neglected, they feel isolated, they feel everything else that is not okay, because they are human beings and they equally feel as we do. They have blood running through their body, not water.
I get your point, but even in the beginning of creation, God created man and added woman, so that everything will be okay. Why didn't the Creator Himself create man and put them together? So these things can be traced to the origin of creation. So it's not a matter of.
Well, the truth is, all these things we are good. With time, they are all going to evolve and come out. Because since human beings are curious, adventurous, they want to explore and do other things, it's still going towards. Come on. So if we start, I think it's high time we start embracing some of this.
Certainly.
Because surely it's coming to be with us sooner or later.
It's a matter of choice. If you are attracted to your opposite sex, have it that way, but I would advise that the heterosexuality or heterosexuals thing that has to be.
So finally, what are we leaving with our audience?
Okay, I will just tell them to be who they are and change their dreams and then love their life. That is what I have for them.
Be who they are. Change their dreams, love their lives. Interesting. But okay, I think we have, everybody has his or her own sexual attractions, his or her own sexuality. But what I want to leave out to my audience is that you have to follow your attractions, but do what is right and try to be adapted to society. Yes, because you cannot, if you find yourself deviating from what society is accepting, at the end, it will be very difficult for you in the society. So just try yourself to adapt and try to live with society and what is accepted in society.
All right, viewers at home. So today we have been talking about gender and sexuality, and we have rightly and nicely laid out the differences between gender and sex, and then we have looked at the other gender types in sexuality. So we just want to say that let's give room to everybody, and just as you'd want to be done unto you, let's do to others. It has always been the Daily Trend Show on New World TV. If for some reason you couldn't catch all of today's show, you can find a repeat on Wednesdays at 8:10 a.m. and 4:10 p.m. You can also follow us on Facebook, The Daily Trend at The Daily Trend TDT, and on YouTube, New World TV, The Daily Trend Playlist. We'll catch you next time, same time. Bye.